All right, today I want to talk about it's the anatomy of growing a strength gym or growing a powerlifting gym, and it is very specific to powerlifting. I mean, I'm going to have some followers that are more in the strongman world, strength sports, powerlifting, kind of all the same thing. At its bare bones principle kind of thing, it's like what you specialize in at the end of the day, and so these principles will apply either way. And it's kind of weird. I help people out with business stuff quite a bit. I'm definitely not a business expert. I'm slowly, I guess, being positioned more and more in that direction. An expert, definitely not an expert. Like, I'm very much figuring this out, just as a lot of my peers in the strength training world that own these small gyms are figuring it out. But I've figured something out that's allowed me to expand in the way that ZeroW has expanded, which, as far as I know, is pretty unique. I don't know of any other strength gym in the world that's been able to manage to expand in the same way. So there are strength gyms out there that have multiple sites under the same name, but it's not the same product. It's a shared name, kind of like a franchise of the name, which isn't quite the same as having a consistent product that is then able to be scaled and expanded. And I guess this is the start of a conversation around not how to become a ZeroW, but around some of the things, especially before I expanded into multiple gyms, that helped me grow my gym to be in a position where I had the option to expand into multiple gyms. And then at a later date, maybe the next episode I do after this or sometime down the track, I want to talk a little bit more about the structure of ZeroW and how, if you're looking to expand, you could potentially draw some inspiration from us. Because I don't have any secrets, and I want people to be doing what we're doing, because at the end of the day, the lifter is at the heart of this. And that's what this message and this podcast is going to be about today, which is like focus on who you're trying to help, because that's going to be the primary way that you're going to grow your business in the way that you want to grow it. And I guess that's where the conversation kind of begins. And I want to rewind to like 2012-13 when I opened the gym. I was a powerlifter through and through. I mean, I still kind of am a powerlifter through and through. But my goal was to be like the powerlifting gym on the Gold Coast. Powerlifting was the word. And so I opened on the Gold Coast. Back then, there was only one other club, Gold Coast Barbell. It was relatively small, and it was very club-esque. It was very PA, so it was quite exclusive. It was small, and the intention was to give just powerlifters a place to train. My goal from the beginning was to always have a gym, like a gym that had a flavor of powerlifting. But just as all my strength training gym owner peers do, we open up and we try and go for the market that we think we need rather than the market that we actually need. What I mean in English when I say that is that I opened a powerlifting gym and I was trying to market to powerlifters. Back then, 12 years ago, there weren't many powerlifters around in general. I mean, relatively, in Australia, there still aren't many powerlifters around. You look at the numbers of competitors last year, it's only around 3,000, maybe a little bit more than that. Nothing crazy compared to, the millions and millions we have at a population level, especially when you compare it to USA, UK, the kind of numbers relative to the population that they get over there. So powerlifting is small, and it was much, much, much smaller back then. So I was marketing to no one. I was trying to get, the word of powerlifting out to people on the Gold Coast. There weren't really any powerlifters on the Gold Coast. There were a couple, at Gold Coast Barbell, but there were no competitions on the Gold Coast. There was no awareness of the sport of powerlifting on the Gold Coast as a result. And so I was yelling to the wind. There was nothing there. I learned this pretty rapidly because after a year, I had 18 members. I'd been a year into this gym and I had 18 members. I was barely scratching the surface of even getting close to paying the bills. I was still working a full-time job in the morning. And I was like, why isn't this working? And I was like, I'm speaking to powerlifters, and all the powerlifters on the Gold Coast, by this point, Gold Coast Barbell had closed. All the powerlifters on the Gold Coast are at my gym. I'm marketing to myself. That doesn't make any sense. But it's crazy. There's still these powerlifting gyms that open up and think their target market is powerlifting. It's not. Your target market, if you've got a strength training gym that has a flavor of powerlifting or you want to grow powerlifting, is to try and get people into the sport of powerlifting. The problem is that people try and target current powerlifters, and it becomes like this tug of war. It becomes it breeds a scarcity mindset. People think there's a limited number of powerlifters, because there are, and so they think that there's not enough to go around. So they celebrate it as a win when a lifter leaves one gym and comes to their gym. They're like, yes, I got one of them. So no, you don't want to get them. You want to provide for them, yes, so they have an option, but you want to get new people. You want to attract new people to the sport. You might have heard me say in other podcasts or another place or on posts or whatever, my goal with ZeroW is to commercialize strength training. Basically, what I'm trying to set up is a gym where someone looking for a gym can come in and see a gym and be like, this is in my head what a gym is, machines, all the frills that come at commercial gyms, but with a very, 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 very strong strength training powerlifting flavor. So they come to the gym for the gym and then they get exposed to powerlifting. I arrived at this point because when I worked out, okay, my target market isn't powerlifting, it's people that I want to turn into powerlifters. The logical next question is, where do I find those people? And where do you find people on the edge of powerlifting? You find them at regular gyms. These are the people going to World Gym, going to Anytime Fitness, that are struggling to get a rack because some clown's doing, some sort of muscle up curl variation in a rack when there's a functional rig outside. These are the people that are sick of benches that don't have the height adjustments that they need, or benching out of a power rack where the dip in the J hook is so big you have to do half a press to get it out. These are the people that want to use chalk and talcum powder to deadlift. They want to deadlift in general, but they can't. That's the target market. So the target market is sitting in regular gyms. Once I realized that, I was like, I can cut the middleman. Because from there, I'm like, well, it's better for my gym to be close to other gyms. At first I was like, oh no, a World Gym's going to open up down the road. I'm done for. Now I'm like, if I can open as close as possible to other gyms, that's great, because now I've got direct access to my potential target market. From there, I'm like, let's just cut the middleman. Let's turn the gym into a space that's appealing, that's attractive for someone to get into the gym in the first place, and then show them strength training and then turn them into powerlifters. I'm not marketing to powerlifters. So when you see a new ZeroW gym open in a location, if you come to it as a powerlifter and look around, you shouldn't see powerlifters in the area that you know. There might be a few of them that decide to come over, but they generally stay where they train. They're generally loyal to the gyms that they train at. Totally understand that. Get that. That's what I'm trying to set up for our members here too. What you should see is regular people, because that's where our marketing goes to. It goes to regular people with a defined interest in getting stronger. Once we get them into the gym and show them how to get stronger, then they've got powerlifting as an option right in front of them. They don't have to go to a powerlifting gym then to get that specialized attention. They're already there. And now think of the benefit in the reverse direction. Maybe they're not interested in powerlifting at all. Well, great. They've got a private space with people who are serious and getting after it around them, but they can still train there and do what they want to do, even if it's not powerlifting specific. In the past, my gym only really catered towards powerlifting. It didn't even have dumbbells at the start, things like that. It didn't function as what people expect a gym to function as. And so the first step in growing your powerlifting gym and your strength training gym to being something bigger is thinking, who am I actually trying to reach out to? Is it truly strongmen and powerlifters that I'm trying to fill this gym with? And if it is, do I want to get them existing? Or do I want to turn people into strongmen and powerlifters? The option should always be the latter option, because there's an undrainable well to draw from of that target market. There are so many people. In strength sports, there's not that many people. It's a scarce resource. And if you have that mindset, you'll always suffer. You want to go to the unlimited resource and draw from that. This then cascades. If you're in a strength training gym environment, you want to build the sport within it. You now run events. And so you've got attract new people to the sport, provide them with an environment where they can train, and then show them the sport. If they're interested in the sport, they can do the sport. And then if they want to do the sport, run the sport in your space. Now you've got this whole ecosystem where people can be involved in your thing. I want people to be involved in the ZeroW ecosystem. They come here as a regular strength training individual. They see powerlifting. They're like, what's this? I want to try that. I say, great, let's try it. We got a novice coming up in May. Why don't you give that a crack? They do that. They're like, I like this thing. Where do they go from there? Well, we run sanctioned competitions as well. You want to learn more about it? Why not come referee, spot and load, get involved? And now we create an ecosystem around the sport that becomes self-sustaining, because now it no longer relies on me doing all the work to try and get people in, train them up, and create the environment. The people that have experienced that from me and then from my staff start to do it organically within the community themselves. Got off on a little bit of a tangent here, and I mean, I could keep going forever on this subject, but at the heart of it, the turning point for you needs to be, if you want to turn your gym into something bigger than what it currently is, if you want to grow the sport of powerlifting or grow the sport of strongman, whatever you're involved with, you need to think of the full journey of how people end up in that position. They don't just wake up a powerlifter one day and then rush over to a powerlifting gym. No, they've got a defined journey as to how did they get into the gym? What were they doing in the gym? How did they start getting serious about it? When they started getting serious about it, what were the problems that they faced? How did they seek solving those problems? Then where do you fit in? How can you help with that? How can you show empathy and understanding about that journey so you can talk directly to them through your marketing so that they can hear you, come to you, and you can provide the answers and the solutions for all those problems that they've come across. And you'll become an expert in doing that. If you've done it yourself, which you probably have, you've done it with others, which you probably have, the more you can lean into that and identify that as a relevant pathway to fill your gym, the bigger your gym's going to be. That's what we do here at ZeroW. I encourage all the gym owners who come via me for mentoring. That's what we talk about. So have a think about that, unpack it, brainstorm yourself, take a deep dive in who you're actually trying to help and who you actually want to fill your gym with. And hopefully that gives you some insight and some help. Thank you for listening.